So I think we may be able to make this one step nicer.
Okay.
But I think for comparison for folks, we might scroll back to this. So can you go ahead and just make a copy of this whole entire method?
Sure. Let's see. Do you want me to just?
However you want to do that.
Okay. So I guess the way I would normally do this would just be to select it all.
You can do that.
And I'll come down here and this.
And you might have an extra close bracket. You can go ahead and change that. Just put a 2 out there or something sloppy like we would actually do before we threw it away. And then just check at the bottom that we don't have an extra curly, just so when we go to compile, we don't have a surprise.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah,
Look
we
at
had
that.
one
Good
extra
eyes.
curly there. Okay, great. Okay, so come up to this, to one of these versions, whichever one. This will be fine.
Okay.
Okay, so this is still kind of long. It doesn't fit on one screen yet, right?
Yep.
So let's do a switch here.
Okay.
Okay. So on line 28, add a switch. Okay, and we're going to switch over person.
Okay.
Okay, and then the first case is going to be case student. I think those parentheses are correct. Student, capital S. When, space when. GPA, student.gp. I'm sorry, case student space student. I forgot the other student.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Okay.
Case
When.
student. When.
Student.
Yay.
Greater than 3.2. See if I got that syntax just right there. And then you're going to have to get rid of the if person is student on the next line.
Okay.
That is going to give you a curly brace. That's going to give you a problem there. So now this is a normal case, so it needs a colon.
Gotcha.
Okay. And now you can get rid of the next couple of lines, and so you're down to that return statement.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Now this is a place that people are kind of funny about because if you have an if statement, most people are going to get fanatic about it having curly brackets.
Yes.
Okay. But you come to a case like this, it's almost the same thing. What's the difference?
Yeah.
And people go, yeah, no curlies there.
No, I would normally put them in.
Okay, you can have curlies.
Okay.
Okay, if you want curlies, you can have curlies.
Kind of. Okay, thank you.
You can
kind
put
of bothers
curlies
me.
in. Okay, you can put curlies in. Okay.
Thank
so so that's kind of, it's a funny thing.
Yes.
Okay. So now the next one should be case space student, and we will have to give it a different variable name.
Okay.
Okay. So student, you can say just. You could on the first one you could say honor student if you wanted.
Or,
well, this is a non-honor student.
Non-honor student.
All right. Okay, and put your colon out there. Get rid of the next 2 lines, or the next. You can leave it curly since you like your curly. Okay. All right. Okay. So you see where we're going on this?
I do. So can we take the rest of those?
Yeah. Go ahead and do that. And you know, if you with your curlies, we might not all fit on one screen. On my computer, it does fit on one screen.
So this is so cool. So just to reiterate, like we're switching on a variable, right? We're switching on the value of person.
Absolutely.
But it's not just the simple case of you know, a simple value. We're actually forming expressions around that. We are. That is brilliant.
Around the actual type, and then we can put these extra conditions on like we did with the GPA, really which just makes it to be just absolutely beautiful.
See, and this is
you don't need that open parentheses, and it might give you trouble.
Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, no, it's pair programming.
So, and this, like you were talking about other languages before, this is very reminiscent of, well, things like a lot of shell languages use this kind of really loose syntax, you know. But the fact that we're getting this in a compiled TypeScript language is pretty sweet.
Then close it. Now, there's a couple of things, and I'm not going to go super deep because we've got, you know, we're doing this as a fun thing to introduce people, and there's a lot of other Pluralsight courses that are going to come out on this. But one thing that's happened here is that we, for the first time, are going to have to deal with an order in case statements. So we didn't have that before.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the student with a GPA of 3.2 must precede the student that doesn't have a condition.
Yes. Okay. Because that is a more specific
That's
domain of student. So Yeah, so and just to reiterate here, like if you read this is almost English at this point, right? So switch on person, the case where student has a GPA that's greater than 3.2, do this thing, right? And that will catch all the students with that GPA. And you know, because of the return statement, we pop out of the switch.
That's correct, and we don't need the break because we have a return.
Right. But then any student that doesn't have a GPA that high bounces down to the honor student or the non-honor student.
That's correct.
Case and gets caught there. This is very readable, I guess, and that's what excites me about it, and that it feels, like I said, feels very loose, like a scripting language almost. Yeah. Like you can pack a lot of logic into that case statement.
To me, it's we've got a way to take all this extra junk and have that go into the background.
Yes.
Okay, so even though with your curly brackets, there is a lot of vertical white space here. Okay.
There is.
But all of the logic of this method now fits onto one screen at a big font.
It really does.
We're at 20 lines, and the whole logic for this method fits. Okay, so that's really cool.
That is really neat.
We're able to do that. Now, case null has some special scenarios now because case null and default, which are almost the same. We're not gonna go into this, but case null and default are going to be somewhat special cases, and default will always be evaluated last no matter what, no matter where it appears.
Gotcha.
So for goodness sakes, put it last.
So it's like the default.
I wish they'd made it so it had to be last, but it will be evaluated last whether it appears there or not, which is like, dudes.
Right, yeah.
So there's a few places that they did some extra, like let's make this super simple.
I can see why that would be confusing too, because if you put a default up top and somehow expected that to like short circuit the whole thing, and it's not.
Yeah, it's just, but the rest of it, and it just like in, we're used to this order dependency in catch. Okay, so with catches, they have to be in order. We're used to that. And just like that case, if it can figure out that you're being dumb and the next line will never be executed, it's going to tell you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to try to help.
Okay, so next question about this. You ready? So in a normal case statement, sometimes you can pack the cases on top of each other. So for example, like if I was just switching on an integer value x, like if it's case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4, can I do the same thing?
Well, why don't you just go ahead and remove after instructor everything in the instructor block?
Okay. So
just get rid of those lines.
Like that?
And that's what you're talking about stacking, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So if there's a break in there, then and actually it's challenged because of the scope.
Correct. Yes, because staff is
right. So if that was something that just says thanks for being part of our team,
right?
Okay, then you could do it. But
gotcha.
So it's going to be somewhat limited by that because the whole point here. But if you had a case where you were saying, look, I want these different types to have this behavior, and I don't care, I don't need that value.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was thinking, like even like I could see how that would be tough. Like there would be no reason to switch on the type if you weren't going to leverage that type in the statement. But
you might sometimes, just to get rid of some things, just to get some things knocked out.
Absolutely. But I'm thinking of a case like this where you're sort of filtering students based on the criteria. If you were going to filter them like as long as their GPA was below 4.0. Because whatever.
So then you're going to have to do an and out there because again you've got the problem with the scoping on the variable names.
Is that the double ampersand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would work. So then you could do if it's less than 4, if it's great, it's in that range, you could do that.
Okay.
So yeah.